both Joe and Kari. Defensively, calling for the team meeting and the result of that, the impact that you talked to us about in practice that week. How did that manifest itself on the field? When did you know you guys were locked in and playing the way you needed to play to win?
I'll go first. And I just feel like throughout the week of practice, preparation, everything that was going on, you know, you just felt something different. And, you know, that transcribed into a big game on Saturday. And, you know, a big win. It just felt good. Be able to feel it on the sideline, be able to see it in people's eyes. And, you know, it's an exciting game. It's hard not to be that excited when you play a team like Penn State.
Yeah, I think like Joe said, we prepared all week. Last week was a great week of practice, and I feel that our mindset and our mentality, you know, was good going into the game. And I felt like, you know, we sustained throughout, you know, the ups and downs of the game. We sustained the mentality and sustained the energy. We were able to play well, and I'm looking for a good challenge this weekend.
Kari, you've been credited of coming up with the idea of the chip and bringing the poker chip and slamming it down on the table. What is the message that you and the other captains of this team gave the underclassmen and the rest of the team for this rivalry week?
Yeah, I think the chip on the shoulder thing, that's something that's been a part of this program since before I got here. And I felt like, you know, it's definitely a mentality that we took last year, and then with the adversity we faced early on this year, I felt like we need to kind of, you know, just get back to that type of mindset. But I feel that, you know, the young players, we can't really tell them much, you know, about this rivalry. Something that you'll experience when you step out on the field, and I feel like, you know, they'll be ready for it. They'll embrace it. It's part of the reason why you come here.
For Joe and Brian, you guys are not from the state of Michigan. Joe, you understand a little bit being from Ohio, but what was your moment when the depth of this rivalry really hit you and what it means?
I think just for me, my freshman year, or even in 2016, just the pregame, all the week leading up to it, all the players talking about it, our video that we had before the game, you know, has past Spartan players talking about how big this game is and how much it means to them. So just kind of like the week leading up to it, obviously the game time, once you get out there and play for the first time and just experience it, you definitely get the feel of what that game means.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game. You know it. You feel it throughout the week of practice. And, you know, the guys from Michigan, this is a special game for them. And, you know, if you're not from Michigan, Ohio, really, you don't really understand it until you get around them. And, you know, it's just a different feel. It's a different way of preparing, I guess, because you know how much this game really means to everyone.
Kari, the other end of that, on the year's first start back in 2015, I guess how special was that to get that game against Michigan and get to start that game? And then kind of walk through that game up to the last punt and what that win meant for you and for the program at that point.
Yeah, I think we were both pretty highly ranked at the time. I think it was a big, you know, marquee matchup. It was a tough game going back and forth from what I remember. And then I think we played pretty solid as a defense. I think it was going back and forth, and then we put it out with the punt at the end. That was a long time ago.
This is for Kari and Joe. I'm just curious for both of you guys at your respective positions. What are some of the subtle details that you've noticed in subtle differences? I'm sorry, in Michigan this year versus some of the offenses that they've had in the last 2 or 3.
Obviously, they got a highly rated quarterback over there, and nothing against guys before. I don't think they've had one the past couple of years since I've been here. So you know, there's a big talk about him, but you know, we're gonna prepare with these guys. You know, with everything we got. Now you got to bring your best this game. And you got to prepare that way. Their offense is good. They're talking highly of their O-line. So, you know, it's an exciting game. It's a rivalry game. We'll be ready for it.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think they think real highly of their quarterback. One of the things that he brings that maybe they didn't have in the past is just his ability to run and make plays with his legs. O-line, like you said, like Joe said, they talk highly of those guys as well. So I feel like they still like to do some of the similar things. And, you know, they have, you know, some pieces out on the edge as well. So, it's going to be a challenge, but it's one that we're looking forward to, definitely.
This is for any of you guys, all three, if you want to comment on it. But coming off of last week's win, as well as Michigan's win over Wisconsin, both against top 15 teams, how much does this maybe intensify the rivalry a little bit, or just maybe the the game in general? How much more excited are you for it, knowing what's at stake a little bit?
My thing is, you know, if we were 0-6 or we were 6-0 right now, we'd still prepare the same way for these guys. You know, this game, really, to a lot of the guys who are alumni, a lot of fans, this game means more than anything. And, you know, we understand that, but we're a 4-2 team. I think they're 5-1 or whatever it is. They're a good team. And it's an exciting game. That's why you come to Michigan State.
This is for any of the guys. How much of the past is preached, talked about in practice, maybe in meetings, whatever, whether it be a Mike Hart thing or a dagger or anything that happened in the past? How much of that is thought about and talked about this week?
I think it's definitely something that that's mentioned. I mean, just given the history of the rivalry, obviously every year you bring in a new batch of guys and you want to inform them on what happened, where we are in the rivalry, how we stand. But I feel like there's no need for extra motivation or anything like that. I feel like we're going to prepare. We have enough with the history of this rivalry. We have enough motivation there. And as far as what we want to accomplish this season, I feel like we're going to go out and we're going to play as such.
Kari, long before you were here in 07, Mark D'Antonio was at this press conference, and Michigan had beaten State like a drum for years, and he said, how long are we going to bow down to the University of Michigan? And since then, he's won 8 of 11. How has he emphasized this game to you guys?
I think, it's just who he is as a person. I mean, his demeanor. I feel like that's what he does. That's what he brings every week. And I feel like, we're geared up for this game. He tells us, what we need to do and how we need to prepare, how we need to prepare ourselves for, the challenges that lie ahead. And I feel that, not only him, but the rest of our coaching staff this week and our leaders, we're going to try to put ourselves in the best position so that, when Willis are flying, eventually, we can try to come out with another one.
Because it's your last one, is it more meaningful because this one kind of you ride the rest of your life?
I'm from Michigan, so they're all meaningful to me. But I think this one is definitely, since it's the next one up, it is the most meaningful one for me, simply because I'm from Michigan.
Over here, this could be for you guys, and I know you talk about preparing the same way, whether you're 0-6 or 6-0. But considering the win you got last week, is it possible that the rivalry like this comes at the right time in the schedule when maybe that momentum has returned and maybe those positive feelings are back after the way you guys played last week?
It always helps to come off a win, any game you're playing, to come off, especially a big win like we had last week. The confidence is always high coming off a win like that. So, I mean, any opponent that we'll be playing this week, obviously it's Michigan, but, we'll be ready 100% for that next parade.
Brian, up the middle here, when you're down to your 5th, 6th, whatever, string receivers, kind of running on fumes on offense, you find a way that final drive, and you throw that ball up for Felton. What's the biggest takeaway from that drive, from that game, that you feel you can build on for this week against Michigan?
It was funny, I kept running out there and it'd be, like, I don't even know which group of receivers are coming out there, I just have to figure it out in the huddle, but, it definitely helps that my confidence with Felton is incredible. I mean, he's an incredible player. All you gotta do is throw it up to him, he's gonna make a play. So, anytime that, we need to play, I know he's the guy to go to. And obviously there's younger guys that'll step up too, so I'm looking forward to kind of seeing that this week.
As for all three of you guys, been on both ends of this rivalry, do you feel like the one sticks with you longer than the other, be it a win or a loss, that, whether it be the joy of having the, beat a rival or, the pain or whatever from coming up on the other end?
My thing to say is I hate losing more than I like winning, so if I were to lose this game, it'd mean a lot more to me. But, last year, getting that win down there was very special to me, obviously. It's a tough game. That rain, everything just made it so special to be down there, coming out of a defensive game as a defensive guy. But, a loss would hurt, obviously, and we don't talk about a loss around here. But, we're going to come out this game, we're going to prepare with everything, and, we're going for it all.
Brian, if you would please talk about their defense, very disciplined, but when they've struggled a little bit, it's been with quarterbacks who can create, and that certainly is your resume.
Yeah, they're a great defense. Like to play a lot of cover one man stuff. Like to blitz a lot, obviously. They're very aggressive defense. Obviously, kind of got a taste of that last year for really the first time. So, you know, it'll take preparation, preparing for the blitzes, making sure you see them coming, make sure you know how to pick them up and how to change protection and stuff like that, just get the ball out quickly.
Joe, you mentioned last year that game being pretty special. It could have went really differently actually, because you broke up that pass in the end zone. So just kind of describe that more, the feeling of what it was like to, you know, it kind of solidified the win, honestly, because it could have went a different way if they would have caught the ball.
Yeah. That last play, Coach told me before the play, he said, if you don't have time to get in the pile, get in front, and I made sure to get in the pile. And, you know, when that ball was up in the air, I felt like it was up there for a minute. And, you know, I just felt like I was a little kid again, though. Playing when the ball was thrown up in the air, you know, go get it. And, you know, me and Matt Morrissey went up there, we batted it down, I made sure it got on the ground because it was in my hands for a second, and I didn't want, you know, any option for the guy across me to make that play. But, you know, once that ball hit the ground, you saw the emotion that went on, and it was very special.
Brian, I was curious, you guys, we've talked a lot about your offensive line this year, and you guys have shuffled people because of injuries and all sorts of reasons, and you mostly go at 5 at Penn State. Just wondering, in the game, sort of in those moments between plays or whatever, whether it's communication, execution, just what are some of the, what benefits did you see from having the same guys there from pretty much snap one to the finish?
It's good. It helps being able to come into the huddle and look at the same guys every time up front. I think the more they play together, the more they it's easier to play together, I guess, just because you know them, how they play, their style of play. So I think that, you know, this set of guys we have right now are very good. And, whether we have to rotate or not, I think it just depends on, you know, the game, I guess. But I think, you know, they're obviously playing very well right now, in my opinion.
This question is for all three of you, but I guess, how often do you hear from past players during a week like this and for a game like this?
I think every once in a while, I think you know, somebody you know, hit you up with a text or something here and there. But I feel like, you know, past players understand the magnitude of this game. I feel like they know that we do as well. And during a week like this, you know, I mean, there's not really too much talking. So I feel like they, you know, they understand that, they respect that. But every once in a while, they will reach out.
Got time for a couple more. For any of you guys, Michigan State's been beating Michigan for a long time now, and it seems like every year going into this game, the storylines and narrative are very similar, right? The underdog versus the big program down the road, that kind of thing. I'm curious if there's ways you guys keep that fresh in your minds, or if it feels like Groundhog's Day a little bit at a certain point for you.
I'll just say, like, last week we brought the chip back, and it's just something you can never lose. And it's the same way with that underdog thing and how they think of us. You know, never lose it. We understand what's at stake. It's a rivalry game. And, you know, people out in the media or whatever think of us maybe a little different than them. And that's fine with us. But, you know, we got that chip back, and, you know, we're going to continue that this week.
Kind of going off that, did that win last week maybe give you guys that identity, maybe that you needed to dig deeper and kind of help show you guys the path of, hey, we can be successful if we play a certain way?
I think the loss the week before kind of showed that a little more. You know, just coming off that loss, there's a lot of stuff we need to improve on. I think that loss honestly was one of the better things probably going to happen to us, just to try and figure out what was wrong and figure out what we needed to fix. And I think that kind of showed last week when we came out and got a big win on the road.
Time for one more right here.
You guys had that win last week. You guys beat 8th ranked Penn State. They got a win over the 15th ranked Wisconsin Badgers, but you guys have had that experience of winning those big games, whereas they haven't had a taste of that in a while. Does having that experience in your guys' back pocket, is that going to play a factor on Saturday?
I feel like it can possibly play a factor, just because, you know, the more experienced you are, you know, that's, especially with young guys, that's confidence and stuff like that. But I feel like, you know, every game and every day, you know, presents new challenges of their own. And I feel like today we got to go out and meet the challenge of getting to know them, you know, practicing, getting ourselves familiar with them, preparing for Saturday, which will have its own challenges. So I feel that, you know, that experience and all that stuff is good and cool, but, you know, we got to come out and we got to prepare, we got to play this game, you know, just like we play any other game with a little bit more.
All right, thanks, guys. Set up here, we'll have Dan Cole.